Reading with Joan.
Hi kids, we are back on another edition of Reading with Joan. I hope you have fun as you join us as we read the various books we have on the show.
Reading with Joan, the place for all the fun. Creative kids.
Hello everyone, I'm Big J, and today I'm going to be reading Black and British, and I'm going to continue where Little J stopped in the 20th century. Although the British newspapers welcomed people on the Windrush, in secret the British government was afraid that they had come to Britain. Even before the Windrush of Jamaica, the government had tried to prevent the people on board from reaching Britain. The British Prime Minister Clement Attlee had made inquiries to see if the ship could instead be sent to East Africa, and the West Indian migrants could be offered work on a farming project that had been established in Tanganyika to grow peanuts for export to Britain. 3 weeks before the Windrush arrived, the Minister of Labour, George Isaacs, reminded his colleagues in government that those on board the Windrush had not officially been invited to Britain, and warned that the arrival of these substantial numbers of men under no organized arrangement was bound to result in considerable difficulty and disappointment. The civil servants at the Home Office wrote that sooner or later action must be taken to keep out the undesirable element of our colonial population. On the day the Empire Windrush reached Tilbury Docks, 11 Labour MPs sent a letter to Attlee requesting that he put in place controls to limit black immigration to Britain. In their letter, they claimed that an influx of coloured people coming to Britain would impair the harmony, strength, and cohesion of our people and social life and cause discord and unhappiness among all concerned. Wow, they were mean. After their arrival at Tilbury, the people from the Windrush were housed in an old underground air raid shelter in London. Within a month of their arrival, all but 12 of the West Indians had found jobs and were hard at work in industries across the country. 296 of them had stayed in London. The others had moved to Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, Plymouth, Leeds, Bolton, Colchester, and Birkenhead. One of the reasons they found work so quickly is that the people in the Windrush had exactly the skills Britain desperately needed in 1948. The passenger list of the Windrush tells us the names of the people on board, but also lists their skills. On the ship were 85 mechanics, 54 carpenters, 39 clerks, 34 tailors, 23 welders, that's someone who works in metal, 20 engineers, 18 cabinet makers, 18 students, 15 machinists, 14 fitters, 13 electricians, 12 civil servants, and 10 shoemakers, as well as 3 boxers, 2 piano repairers, 2 hairdressers, a potter, and a hatter. That's someone who makes hats. During the summer of 1948, while the Empire Windrush had been crossing the Atlantic Ocean, a new law had been passed through Parliament. The British Nationality Act ensured that the people of the British Empire had the right to enter and live in Britain. Hooray! It also ensured that people in Britain were free to emigrate and find new homes in the Empire. But the MPs who passed the law imagined that people coming to Britain would be white people from Canada, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, parts of the Empire that were sometimes called the White Dominion, the Old Commonwealth. However, the British Nationality Act gave the same rights to the people of what was called the Commonwealth, which included Africa and the West Indies, as well as Asia. The politicians believed that very few black and brown people from those parts of the British Empire would come to Britain. They were wrong. By 1958, 10 years after Windrush had landed at Tilbury Docks, there were about 125,000 West Indian people living and working in Britain. During the same period, 350 Irish people and around 90,000 European voluntary workers migrated to Britain. Despite the opposition of the government throughout the 1950s, British companies were very happy to employ black migrants. Some companies went out to the West Indies to set up offices through which they recruited people to come and work for them. In 1956, London Transport, the company that ran the buses and tube trains in London, began to recruit new members of staff on the island of Barbados. jobs. London Transport even loaned money to the men and women it recruited to help pay for the costs of travelling to Britain. The National Health Service, which is the NHS, recruited nurses in the West Indies. By 1965, there were somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 nurses in Jamaica alone, hard at work in Britain's hospitals. Hotels and restaurants also recruited black people from the West Indies to come to Britain and work for them. Although almost half of the West Indian men and 1 in 5 of the women who came to Britain in the 10 years after the Windrush had arrived were trained to do skilled jobs, many of them were disappointed to discover that the only work they were able to get in Britain was doing unskilled jobs. Their talents and their training, which Britain had found useful during the war years, were often disregarded. Many also faced terrible discrimination at work. At times, white people refused to work alongside their new black colleagues, and whole companies decided not to hire black workers. This was known as the colour. In Bristol, the local bus company refused to give jobs to black and Asian people. In response, a group of West Indians in Bristol organised a boycott of the bus service in 1963. Black and Asian people, along with the white people who supported them, refused to use the buses. This cut the company's profits and made the company's colour bar a big story that was reported in newspapers and on television. In the end, the boycott worked, and the bus company agreed to employ drivers and bus conductors from the West Indies, Pakistan, and India. Kids, I hope you enjoyed learning today and about how the 20th century Windrush immigrants sometimes struggled to find jobs, but boycotting eventually worked. I'll see you next time I read. Bye!
Have a great time. Come join
Hi
us.
kids, it's me once again. We are still reading Tales from the Caribbean. Alright, so what is the story we have today? Today the title of a story is Brer Asante and Brer Snake. As you all know, the story is based on the folktale from Tobacco Talk. Let's get on to the story. Are you ready? Okay, word had gone around in the animals village that a famine was coming. Wise Owl, who knew everything, announced it one evening. All the animals looked worried. All that is, except for Brer Asante. He had decided long ago that there was no sense worrying about anything else, since he was always able to get himself out of a tight spot. All of the animals gathered to think of a plan. Brer Asante just relaxed in the sun and waited for them to finish talking. When they had finished, Brer Asante caught up to Brer Snake. So what had been decided? He asked. Brer Snake told her, everyone had decided to walk the land. If we all plant lots of vegetables, then we'll have plenty of food for everyone come harvest time. Brer Asante laughed. I'm not walking land, he said. All you can do the work. When you're done, I just steal what you've planted. No one can stop me. Wow, that's mean. Brer Snake didn't like what he heard, so he told all the animals in the village what Brer Asante planned to do. So everyone put fences and made sure they were waiting to pounce on Brer Asante once he attempted to steal from them. When the time came for harvest, they made sure Brer Asante could not get to their crops. This made Brer Asante angry. I'm so hungry, he said to Brer Snake one day. I have tried to steal food, but everyone has put up fences around their crops, and I can't sneak or get anywhere. What am I to do? That is your fault, said Brer Snake. You should have grown your own vegetables like the rest of us. Oh no, said Brer Asante. Now it's too late. I am going to starve. Well, said Brer Snake, who felt sorry for him. I have a garden full of vegetables. I can give you some potatoes, okra, yam, and plantain, but I want something in return. Oh, what is that? Said Brer Asante. In return, said Brer Snake, I would lavish you with my long tail. Brer Asante thought, in return, said Brer Snake, I want to lavish you with my long tail. Brer Asante thought about what Brer Snake proposed, and he agreed to take a listen from Brer Snake's tail for some food. Brer Snake handed over the potatoes, okra, yam, and plantain. Here, take the vegetable. Enjoy your supper. I would come to your house at midnight tonight, and I'll give you a lavish polishing on my tail, said Bear Snake. Bear Asante agreed and took the vegetable and went home to cook. He already had a plan in his mind on how to avoid Bear Snake's lashing, so he wasn't worried. Once home, Bear Asante put all the vegetables in a big pot on the stove. Whistle, he waited for it to cook, so he sang out lively so all the animals in the street could hear. I am Bear Asante, I am Bear Asante, come and join me, I have a big feast night. Bear Goat was passing by and heard Bear Asante singing. So that's what you say, Bear Asante? You are having a feast? Yes, said Bear Asante. I have okra and yam, potatoes and plantain. Well, Bear Goat liked his food and ate almost anything. He wasn't about to let the offer pass him. So he went to Bear Asante's house and enjoyed the feast he had prepared. There was more than enough for both of them to eat, and where Bear Goat's belly was full and stodgy and slept off, just as Bear Asante had hoped. At midnight, there was a knock on the door. Bear Goat shouted, Bear Asante, wake up! Someone is at the door. Please, can you answer it for me? Bear Goat woke up out of his sleep and went to the door. As he opened the door, Bear Snake gave him one lashing with his tail and knocked Bear Goat over in one blow. Then, without looking back to see who he had just lashed, Bear Snake went his way, satisfied he has received full payment for the vegetables. Poor goat. When Bear Snake had gone, Bear Asante got up and saw Bear Snake lying dead on the ground and laughed. I miss Bear Snake's lashing. I get fresh meat, he said. So he cleaned up Bear Goat and cut it up and put it in a pot with some seasoning, ready to make another big feast for the next day. The only trouble was there was no vegetable left for him to eat the goat's stew with. Bear Asante decided he would go and see Bear Snake in the morning and ask for more vegetable. Bear Asante got up bright and early the next day and went to visit Bear Snake. Bear Snake, I've eaten all the vegetables you gave me and now I'm hungry again. Please, how can I have some more? Bear Snake was shocked to see Bear Asante after the lashing, and he thought he had given him. You are very tough, Bear Asante. I thought that the lash I gave you last night would have finished you off. The good food you gave me made me tough, laughed Bear Asante. So what do you say? Do you have more vegetables for me? I can give you some from green bananas and plantain and some yam, said Bear Snake. But the deal is the same as before. In return, I will lash you with my long tail. Bear Asante smiled. That's fine by me, he said. So Bear Snake handed over the green plantain and yam and bananas. Here, take the vegetables and enjoy your supper. I will come to your house at midnight again tonight, and I will give you the lashing with my tail, said Bear Snake. Bear Asante agreed and took the vegetables home to cook. He was wondering who he could catch to take Bear Snake's lashing for him. When he had gone home, Bear Asante put all the vegetables in a big pot on the stove, and when they were cooked, he served them together with the stewed goat. What a feast Bear Asante had! He was enjoying it so much that he almost forgot his plan. Then he remembered he needed to catch someone else to take Bear Snake's lashing. So as before, Bear Asante sang loudly so that any animal passing on the street could hear. I am Bear Asante, I am Bear Asante, come and join me. I have a big feast tonight. Bear Hog was passing by and heard Bear Asante singing. A feast, Bear Asante, said Bear Hog. Yes, said Bear Asante. I have green bananas, plantain, and yam, and a little goat meat. Come and join me. He ushered Bear Hog into the house. Well, Bear Hog ate almost everything. He enjoyed all the food that Bear Asante had prepared. Bear Hog ate until his belly was full, all the food as Bear Goat has done before him. Bear Hog smuggled up and fell asleep. Once again, at midnight, there was a knock on the door. Bear Hog shouted, Bear Asante, wake up! Someone is at the door. Please, could you answer it for me? Bear Hog woke up out of his sleep and went to the door. As he opened the door, Bear Snake gave him one slash with his tail and knocked Bear Hog over in one blow. Then, without even looking back, Bear Snake went on his way. Satisfied he had slashed Bear Asante and received full payment for the vegetables he had given him. When Bear Snake had gone, Bear Asante woke up and Bear Hog lying up and saw Bear Hog lying down on the ground. He laughed laugh and Miss Bear Snake slashing. I get fresh meat. Bear Santa is mean, don't you think? He said. He cleaned up Bear Hog's meat, cut it up and put it in a pot with some seasoning, ready to make another big feast the next day. The only trouble was there was no vegetable left to eat the stew with. Bear Santa decided he was going to see Bear Snake in the morning and asked him yet to give him more vegetables. And the next morning, Bear Santa got up bright and early and went to Bear Snake. Bear Snake was shocked and saw Bear Santa after having given him 2 lashes on his tail. I'm wondering if you could spare some more vegetables, Bear Santa said. Well, said Bear Snake, I'm shocked to see you still alive. And since you are still going strong, I suppose I could give you some calabo and potato. Is that all? Asked Bear Santa greedily. Yes, that is all, said Bear Snake. And the deal is the same as before. I will come at midnight and give you a slashing on my tail as payment. Bear Santa agreed, and he took the calabo and potatoes from Bear Snake and went home. Once home, Bear Santa put all the vegetables in a big pot and water in the stove. When the vegetables were cooked, he served them together with the stew hog. What a feast Bear Santa had! The stew hog and the vegetables were delicious. Bear Santa looked outside to see if anyone was passing. There was no one in sight. Bear Santa began to sing loud to see if he could attract anyone's attention. I am Bear Santa. I am Bear Santa. Come and eat with me. I have a big feast tonight. But word had gone round because no one was coming to share Bear Santa's feast with him tonight. He sang out loudly again. I am Bear Santa. I am Bear Santa. Come and eat. Come and join me. I have a big feast tonight. But no one was surprised by Bear Santa's song. All the sweet smell of food. Bear Santa began to worry. In a couple of hours it would be meat and Bear Snake would be coming to give out his nightly slashing with his tail. What was he going to do? Bear Santa had an idea. He started to drum and sing and dance. Big, big party tonight. Big, big party tonight. Big, big party tonight. All is welcome. As Bear Santa sang and danced and played his drum, what's that? Armadillo. What's that? What animal is that? Bear Armadillo came up to him. Now, Bear Armadillo did not care too much for cooked food as he lived on rotten wood and worms. But he does like a good party. I'll come to your party, called Bear Armadillo, and he danced into Bear Santa's house. But Bear Armadillo didn't eat any of the food that Bear Santa had, and he enjoyed joining in with all the singing and dancing. Bear Santa kept him entertained all evening, and Bear Armadillo danced and danced until he was exhausted. Finally, Bear Armadillo asked Bear Santa if he could stay the night. When Bear Santa said he could, Bear Armadillo went and dug a hole by the door, and he fell asleep there. At midnight, as Bear Santa expected, there was a knock on the door. Bear Armadillo! Called Bear Santa. Wake up! Someone is at the door. Please, could you answer the door for me? Bear Armadillo barely moved. Instead, he just carried on sleeping. The knock at the door grew louder. Bear Armadillo! Shouted the Santa. Wake up, I tell you! There's someone at the door. What business is it of mine? Called Bear Armadillo, staring in his sleep. I want you to open the door for me, said Bear Santa called. But Bear Armadillo said, this is not my house, yours. But I'm sick in bed, I have a fever. Bear Santa said, even so, it is for you to open the door for your guest, not me. I'm not going to open someone else's door, said Bear Armadillo. Well, Bear Snake was getting angry. He had made a deal with Bear Santa, and he wanted to make sure he slashes Bear Santa with his tail, as he has agreed. He knocked on the door harder and harder until he knocked so hard and knocked the door down with his tail. Bear Santa was frightened now. He tried to hide himself under his furniture. He put the sofa and the table and the chair on top of himself. But Bear Snake was so hungry that he slashed the furniture and knocked it down. And at last, he slashed Bear Santa. From that day on, Bear Santa vowed he would stop begging and stealing and instead work hard for himself. Did you like that? Now you need to learn to be smarter than those that think they are smart, kids, right? And don't be gullible like the goat and the hog. It's everything. So people, they call them long throats. They are always wanting to have what other people have, and they always want to eat and eat and eat. Greediness. So remember, greediness can lead to your death, but also laziness can also lead to your death. The Asante was lazy and he wanted to enjoy the riches of life without working hard. So hard working is very important, and I hope you take a lesson for today, because we always learn from reading with Joan. Every story has a lesson, and I hope we take it on board and not behave like the Asante. And remember, we can all, and not behave like the Asante. Remember, we can all be the best we're supposed to be. And on this note, I'll say thank you for joining me once again on Reading with Joan. I enjoy reading with you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.